KSL 5. This is Eyewitness News at 10.
The search for a missing 5-year-old boy is over. The investigation is just beginning. FBI agents found the body of Joey Simpson this afternoon in his home. He apparently died in an accident. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Ruth Todd.
And I'm Dick Nourse. Police say it appears the boy fell behind a clothes dryer and was electrocuted when he grabbed the electrical cord. But it'll be up to a state medical examiner, of course, to determine the exact cause of death. Investigators do not expect any foul play. Yesterday, after Joey Simpson was first reported missing, some 200 volunteers and emergency personnel combed this Spanish Fork neighborhood looking for him. His 3-year-old brother had said something about Joey getting into a brown car. And, of course, that prompted concerns the youngster may have been kidnapped. Each year, tragically, about 300 children are reported missing in the state of Utah, but most are not kidnapped. News specialist Karen Scullin joins us now with details of that story. Karen.
Well, Dick, this is National Missing Children's Week, and there are quite a few children from Utah that unfortunately are missing. There is some good news to report, though. Compared to other states, the number of missing children in Utah is relatively low. But, of course, even one child missing is one too many. Just 2.5 weeks ago, an event we'll never forget. An 8-year-old Salt Lake City girl is kidnapped and sexually assaulted, allegedly by this man, 18-year-old Adam Ure. But police were able to find the young girl just 15 minutes after she was taken.
The most effective thing that we can do in those situations is to get there quickly and flood the immediate area with police officers.
But kidnappings are rare. In fact, most kids reported missing are found unharmed. In West Jordan, search crews looked for 8 hours for 3 missing children who were found safe at the home of a relative, a fairly common scenario.
We have quite a few missing children calls, and 99-point-something of them are that we find those children just fine somewhere else.
The number of children actually missing in Utah is 286. Only 18 of them are missing for involuntary reasons.
I would guess in the high 90% of them are runaways. Very few are actually abductions.
Even so, any child not under some kind of supervision is at risk. So of the 286 children missing, 111 are considered endangered.
It's just the fact that they're a juvenile and missing, they're vulnerable to the people who prey on juveniles and runaways.
The Bureau of Criminal Identification has a new website that will eventually show pictures of all the missing children and adults of Utah. Now, that website also offers you some great safety tips to help keep your kids safe this summer, like teaching your kids how to make collect calls home, not to go anywhere alone, and, of course, to never accept rides from strangers. Back to you.
Thanks so much. Well, Salt Lake police have arrested a man wanted in a 2-year-old murder investigation. Russell Thornwall is suspected of the drive-by shooting death of 17-year-old Nick Seal. You may remember the story. While parked at a gas station on Beck Street during the early morning hours of May 17th, 1997, Seal and 2 friends were approached by 3 male suspects. The suspects began shooting, killing Seal, and wounding another passenger. It was apparently a case of mistaken identity.
The Salt Lake man accused of hitting a group of cyclists will stay in jail for the time being. Police say Stephen Hudgens was intoxicated when he hit 6 people on bicycles near Farmington last week, seriously injuring 3. And this is the 9th time Hudgens has been arrested on drunk driving charges. Today, his bail was increased to $250,000. 2 of the bikers remain hospitalized, 1 in critical condition.
All right, I've got my good luck purple on.
You
Center stage in the NBA playoffs shifts now to Portland, where the Utah Jazz and the Trailblazers are, of course, getting ready for Game 6 tomorrow.
Yeah, but the talk of the town today isn't tomorrow's game, it's yesterday's elbow. Tom Kirkland joined us live from Portland with more on that story. Tom.
Well, Dick, another game, another physical action here. I can tell you that Karl Malone has escaped any trouble. He won't be suspended or fined. He's ready to go. But what a series. If you've been watching recently, last night, for instance, 6 stitches, 3 bloody cuts, 2 technicals, 1 ejection, 1 flagrant foul. I mean, it's absolutely getting more physical, but still both sides are saying they're raring to go for Game 6.
I'm sure they're very confident. They're going back to their place. They have the home court advantage, and if we can't go up there and beat them at their place, it's over. So, again, it's very simple at this point.
We are in a series. We've got the home court advantage. We have a chance to eliminate somebody here at home, and that's what we're going to do.
All right, Mike Dunleavy, obviously very confident, but he's going to have to find a way to knock out the two-time defending Western Conference champs. We have much more coming up for you right after Eyewitness News. At 10:35, Big T Thurl Bailey joins me live. We have a cast of thousands here. We're talking about Game 6 for now. We'll see you later on in sports, too.
Yeah, here we are again, waiting and watching. All right, Tom, thanks.
A Provo woman is suffering from an extremely rare disorder that causes the body to curl up and turn almost to stone. It's called stiff man syndrome. Doctors don't know what causes it, and there is no known cure. Our science specialist, Ed Yates, has her remarkable story.
Lynn Zaritsky spends most of her time in a hospital bed.
Without any medication, I am completely rigid and stiff, and I go from being wrapped up into a tiny ball to arching backwards.
Lynn has a disorder called stiff man syndrome, which afflicts only a few hundred people worldwide. For some unknown reason, an antibody fires up her muscles all the time. Instead of the body remaining fluid and mobile like this, it freezes up. The stiffness fluctuates from curling to arching backwards.
It is painful in the sense that my joints are all being pulled out of place, particularly when I arch backwards, and I go between the two until presumably death.
While her bizarre condition has attracted a lot of attention in medical circles, her attitude is even more remarkable. With curled fingers, Lynn still writes a disability advocacy column for the Salt Lake Tribune.
If I lost all hope or all desire to be useful to society as a wife, a mother, and a disability advocate, that I would have no more reason left to live.
The oldest known patient with stiff man syndrome lived 20 years. Lynn has had it 16 years. Though time might be running out, her sense of humor remains strong, even for what she calls the mislabeled name, stiff man.
It's not terribly politically correct, is it?
Ed Yates, Eyewitness News, Provo.
Though doctors didn't agree, they did let Lynn out of the hospital temporarily for family graduations and birthdays and such, but for now, she's at home on probation, as she calls it. Members of the South Salt Lake Police and Fire Union voiced their concerns to the City Council tonight. The union wants up to an 8% pay increase in addition to the 3% standard cost of living increase the city is now offering, Dick.
A trucking company that employs hundreds of Utahns has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Nations Trucking closed its doors last week without a warning, and today dozens of employees staged a protest to get their last paychecks. But whether or how they'll get paid is up now to the bankruptcy court.
Eyewitness News returns in just a few minutes, but I am taking the rest of the night off. That's because we have a very special treat in store for you, so I'll step aside and make room for some honorary guests whom we love.
Yeah, they're guests tonight, but they were, still are, and always will be part of the family. We invited Bob Welti and Paul James to help us celebrate our 50th anniversary. Look at that. So stay tuned. And remember the stuff we showed you a while back that's supposed to give your thinner thighs in KSL Television over the past 50 years as we celebrate the events, the shows, and the people so key to the fabric of our past. Eyewitness to 50 years, Tuesday, June 1st at 9 here on Channel 5.
KSL 5, Eyewitness to 50 years. This is 5, KSL, Salt Lake City. From Broadcast House, this is number 1 Eyewitness News Tonight. With Dick Nourse, Bob Welti has the latest weather, and Paul James with sports.
Man, it was the longest vacation I think everybody's ever been on. Welcome back.
Thank you. Oh, how time flies. It seems like it was only 30 or 40 years ago since we were
It really does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, Dick, I want to thank you and KSL for letting Paul and me come back here on the 50th anniversary, and I just hope they invite us again on the 100th.
I do too.
Yeah.
We might be here.
We might
and
be
I
right.
would like to compliment the makeup man. I didn't think anybody could make Welti look good.
He did a pretty good
He did a pretty good job.
You think we
I'll tell
don't
you
chroma key white?
Yeah.
All right.
I was looking for the 7 dwarfs when I saw Snow White over here.
Well, as you probably know by now, KSL is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, and these two guys and I were on the air together for more than half that time, 26 years. You may have heard of Nourse, Welti, and James. I'm Nourse. I started here in 1964. Bob and Paul came over in 1965. So to celebrate Channel 5's golden anniversary, we brought the old team back together.
Old?
Well, the team back together for one more newscast for old time's sake. You know, Bob Welti learned about the weather, he tells us, being up in the clouds as a Navy pilot in World War II. He's a true TV pioneer starting at KCPX-TV back in 1947. And the call letters, Bob, were W6XIS.
Yeah, one of the guys used to
Be
make the
careful when
boss
you say
mad.
that.
Yeah, he'd say, this is station W6XIS. And he'd say, that's 6. That's what I said.
Like-
6XI.
Look, here's some pictures
isn't that
of
great?
well, there's the three of us
That's
again.
when
There we
Paul
is.
was handsome.
Then he got his hair cut.
Yeah,
And we did a lot of this back in
we
those
did
days.
a lot of horsing around, yeah.
There he is. There he is. The weather guy.
He looks like a kid.
I am.
Remember the 66, the temperatures when it was...
Yeah. Then we'd have the sound man
cheer?
play a cheering record.
And I
Gee,
don't know
that
who
was
that
lovely.
was, but...
I do.
Boy, hey,
No,
look at this guy.
that was a Jansen smile contest thing in Hawaii.
You still wear that swimsuit, too, don't you?
Yeah. I was pretty good looking, wasn't I? I got to tell you, though, Dick, the other day, a guy came up to you on the street and says, you look like an older version of Bob Welti.
What'd you say?
I hit him.
And, you know, a lot of people didn't know it, but Paul James was the play-by-play announcer for the University of Utah Utes about, 6 years?
Yeah.
That was before he turned in his crimson red for the Cougar Blue of BYU, and he's been the voice down there ever since that time.
For
And
about
here we
30
go on...
Which one is me?
Yeah, let's see. You're not the camera. Boy, those were a long time ago.
That was
all that hair.
Yeah.
Or was that a wig?
This was the night, Paul, that you, I think...
covered the airline crash of the 747 out at the Salt Lake Airport. Yeah, I remember that.
Right here. Again, we're back onto that.
Gene Minshaw there.
Those pictures there. Your parrot, that bird
Parrot
still
used
alive.
to bite.
Died right after he bit Paul.
My wife hated that bird with a passion.
And
I don't know who I'm racing against, but I lost. I can
I
tell
don't
you
remember ever
that.
seeing that one, but you lost the race. You played, I know, a lot of bridge. Still play bridge?
I still do.
Doing a lot of arts?
Still
Piano?
doing art and the piano. And you may not know this, but when I started in sports, I started as a fill-in. And they asked me if I'd fill in to do sports so they could hire a sportscaster, and I just been filling in ever since. They never found anybody.
And
Fortunately for me.
And Bob, he started out as a chief herald.
Yeah, he was the fairy on the
I
Eileen
was
Dalton
not a fairy.
Princess. Yeah, he was. He used to wear this little green satin hat and coat, and he would come out on Eileen Dalton's Story Princess show as a fairy.
You prefer chief herald?
I'd much prefer Chief Herald.
Well, it's time to get back to work. Bob's the oldest, so he'll start when we come back. That way he can get to bed early.
Yeah, right.
Stay with us.
First then, first now. The news is #1 and has been since 1965. The #1 anchorman, Dick Nourse, first then and first now. The #1 weatherman, Bob Welti, first then and first now. The #1 sportscaster, Paul James, first then and first now. It's almost embarrassing.
Only the most modern, up-to-the-minute weather instruments. Satellite coverage, radar, computer analysis, bringing you only dependable, accurate weather forecasting. See Welti, the great weather wizard, at 6 and 10 on Channel 5.
That's horrible. Did I do... Somebody faked that. That's trick photography. Well, anyway, we survived, didn't we? Sorry about the big forecast coming up. It's not going to be the best. It's not going to be a fiasco, but it won't be the... Hey, if you can possibly take Friday off instead of Monday, do it. You'll have a little better weather. Okay, let's take a look at it, see what we got. As you can see, there's a batch of clouds over us now, mostly high stuff. Some scattered thunder showers, thither and yon. This stuff down in Texas and in New Mexico here has some rather violent weather with it, a thunderstorm or two. We don't have any reports yet of tornadoes. glancing around at some of the highs around the west, you don't see an awful lot of interesting stuff. That's sort of boring, isn't it? No, actually, very nice temperatures. Here's today's high, if I get my head out of the way. 78, just a couple degrees above normal. There's the records, 92. Sunrise and sunset. I'll get my pants out of the way there. Okay. Now, here's some temperature. Why am I always in the way here? There we go. You can look over the temperatures. Pretty warm. Cedar City had a little trace there with 81 degrees. And a number of 80s. Look at Moab at 86, Murray at 81, and lovely 70s. Oh, 70 is such a pretty temperature. Here's some more for you. Just glance over, see where you're interested, where you have friends, family, yourself living, whatever. And St. George, of course, a hot 95 today. And currently, it's a lovely, balmy, beautiful, there I am in the way again, 68 degrees. The humidity's about where it belongs, and the winds are light out of the east at 13 miles an hour. Looking at the satellite loop now, we see we have superimposed the thunderstorms, or at least the clouds that present thunderstorms, over the high clouds here. You see there's some out in Nevada, all working itself, as you can see, this way. But essentially not an awful lot happening yet. The big thing is that the upper air low will be moving into our area later on in the weekend, and just in time to sort of make things sort of interesting, let's put it that way, for Sunday and Monday. There are the temperatures for tomorrow. Very nice. Look at that 81 in Salt Lake. That's a warm one. Here's St. George now, from cooling off from a high of 98 Friday down into the lower 80s by Sunday and Monday. But the big thing about the southern part of the state will be wind as we get into that weekend. Not a lot of shower activity down there, but the northern part, as you can see here, is the 40% chance Saturday and 60 and 50% chance Sunday and Monday. Oh, Welti, you've still got it. Let's go back to the main center.
Yeah, if you could just keep your head and your pants out of the way. Whatever happened to the wizardette?
I hope she had a long, happy life. I don't even remember who it was.
I can't believe it. He never gave the forecast for Logan. He always used to lead with that because he was born there.
I saw the temperature. I wanted to holler, there's Logan, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, good to have you back.
Good to be back. Thank you.
Well, anyway, what have you been doing for the last little while?
Just sitting, watching, and waiting.
And critiquing.
And critiquing.
Yeah, what do you got? You got some feelings on the Jazz?
Well, obviously that's a big story tonight. The Utah Jazz game number 6 against the Portland Trail Blazers, and my take on the game, if you saw game number 5, and you did, here's what to watch for tomorrow night. Karl Malone against Brian Grant. Remember early in game number 5, Malone came down with his elbow, and he cut Grant right in the eye. And that has been getting major national publicity. Karl Malone's really been taken on the chin today. Well, after Malone cut Brian Grant in the eye, then Grant, when he got a rebound, started swinging his elbows like that. He wanted to hit Malone, but Malone wasn't there. But that's a technical foul anyway, so they gave him a tee. So the next time that he got the ball, he couldn't swing at Karl Malone, and he knew he couldn't swing his elbow, so he faked throwing the ball at Malone. They called a technical on him for that, and of course that brought Mike Dunleavy off the bench, and he got thrown out of the game. And this is all the big talk. And here's my take. They're going to play on that Karl Malone thing, and if Portland works it, they're going to blow the Jazz out. But they may overplay it and forget to put the ball in the hoop and forget this is a championship game, and the Jazz just might sneak out of there with a win. Now, Tom Kirkland is up in Portland right now. Tom, what is the talk up in Portland right now? Is it about Karl Malone and his elbow?
Well, yeah, but first of all, my talk is that it's an honor to be a part of this Hall of Fame newscast. Way to go, guys. Yeah, we're calling it 6 stitches to Game 6. You know, earlier today, the NBA's chief disciplinarian, Rod Thorne, talked to Karl Malone, and then Jazz owner Larry Miller told Malone that, in fact, the NBA will take no action, no fines, no suspensions. And, you know, Brian Grant, last night he wouldn't talk to the media. Well, today in Portland, he sure did.
Nobody's going to come out and say they intentionally elbow somebody. It's just part of the game. And I'm going to keep playing. He's going to keep playing. If I was going to let it bother me that much, I'd have swung on him last night.
I don't play this game for you to like me. You told me you didn't like me, and I said I didn't like you, so we know that. So that's good.
We'll have a whole lot more on this confrontation. Talking Game 6, looking ahead, Rod Zilla against Portland. Rod Zundel goes 1 on 10,000 with Portland radio listeners, and also Keith McCord takes a look at the Jazz fancy ways of traveling. All of that and more. Big T Thurl Bailey live, 10:35, right around the corner on Title TV live in Portland. We'll send it back to that all-star lineup there in the studio.
Tom, I'll tell you this. If the Jazz win in Portland tomorrow night, they will win game number 7 in Salt Lake City.
No question.
The NBA today named the Rookie of the Year, and no surprise, the overwhelming winner, Vince Carter, who played with North Carolina and now with Toronto. He received 113 votes. He got all the votes but 5. He averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists a game for the Toronto Raptors. Sacramento's Jason Williams came in second. He got 3 votes. And Boston's Paul Pierce came in third, and he got 2 votes. Here's a sad story. Yankee outfielder Darryl Strawberry had the potential to be one of the greatest baseball players of all time. In 1983, when he broke in, he was the Rookie of the Year 6 times. He was on the All-Star team. Great stats throughout his career. And then he got involved in drugs and alcohol, and it's been all downhill ever since then. He has been released from the team several times. He has been fined. And last October, he had colon cancer. And today, more drugs again. He pleaded no contest to drug possession that occurred in Florida a couple of months ago. He was sentenced to 18 months probation, but no word yet if he can return to baseball. A very sad story of what could have been one of the greats of all time in baseball, Darryl Strawberry. Speaking of sad stories, the Salt Lake Buzz in last place in the Southern Division start an 8-game road swing in Canada. Game 1 in Edmonton, and the Buzz lose. I said it's a sad story. They lose tonight 12-6. And that's a look at sports.
Hey, it's like riding a bicycle. Huh?
Yeah.
Just right back in there. It almost feels like you never left.
In a while.
We still do that. We do that. Well, there's more, so stick around between Bob and Paul, and there's more news. The situation in Kosovo just took another interesting twist tonight. We'll tell you about that in just a moment.
Once again, the Subaru...
Milosevic is under indictment for the alleged ethnic cleansing in Kosovo. NATO claims the number of atrocities is staggering. There's a growing controversy over those popular new cellulite pills. Medical experts say there's no proof they work. Manufacturers claim they do work. Who do you believe? Well, news specialist Nadine Wimmer put the pills to the test, and the results are in. Deanie.
I know, Dick, the suspense has been killing you, but 6 weeks ago, we found some women who spent plenty of time here trying to exercise away their cellulite. They were ready for something new, so we put some of them on Celicine, some of them on Cell Pill. It's nothing scientific, but it is a way for you to see for yourself if you think it works.
The proof is in the pictures, but the differences are even more noticeable in person than they are on our cameras. Even so, the afterstomach on the right does seem to look a little smoother. Here, this woman's rear end seems to be more defined. The true test, she says, is her husband actually noticed. This woman sees a small difference in the before and after of her trouble spot. This woman swears by the difference she sees when she looks in the mirror at aerobics. Even the slightest difference in lighting will change the appearance of cellulite, so we tried to recreate each before and after shot the same. Still, by the end of our test, one woman, this one here, says she saw no difference at all after taking her supply of pills. She gave the product a thumbs down, but the rest of our testers?
Not an overnight thing, and it's definitely not a weight loss thing, but something is occurring in the skin layers.
What do you think?
I love it. I think it works. It really works. I'm still skeptical.
Okay.
Yeah.
But encouraged.
Yeah, absolutely encouraged.
These glowing remarks aren't shared in the medical community. In fact, there's so much pressure to offer proof these expensive pills work. The manufacturers of Celicine announced they'll conduct clinical trials in the U.S. and release details of their initial studies in Europe.
The cellulite was measured by objective methodology using laser Doppler velocimetry, ultrasound, plicometry, and tape measurement of thigh circumference.
But many women aren't waiting for science. They're jumping at the chance to wage their own war against the nemesis of many women, known as cellulite.
There isn't a woman that knows that I'm doing this that isn't keeping their fingers crossed.
But don't get off the treadmill quite yet. Our unofficial results in no way prove or disprove that these cellulite pills really work. But you can get more information on Celicine and the results that the manufacturers claim to have seen on our webpage. Until then, maybe there's always the old-fashioned way.
Obvious what your recommendation there is, Deanie. You're going to take the pill, run right after. All right.
I'll come on up.
Worked for Bob, he said, so.
Well, I bet she's glad that story wasn't much longer.
I bet she is, too. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment to tell you how you, too, can help us celebrate our 50th anniversary.
Over 5,000
around here tonight, and you can join in on the fun beginning June 1st, when we'll have a special look back at those 50 years of KSL Television. Here now is a sneak preview.
We had a station slogan a while back that said, the stories change, but the faces remain the same. You're about to witness just how some of those faces and this station have evolved over the years.
From black and white to the advent of color, no matter what the Open to the Newscast looked like, the focus was on the people.
Bob Welti with the finest in weathercasting. Paul James with the nightly arena of accurate sports happenings. With Nourse, Welti, and James. In color, weeknights at 6 and 10 p.m.
The anchor team of Nourse, Welti, and James made promoting Channel 5 a breeze. Their sense of humor was an avenue that captured their friendship both in front of and behind the camera.
Yeah, like I say, we've had a lot of fun. And remember the hair. Oh, we'll never forget the hair, will we?
You know,
we'll never forget the
Here's
hair.
a little trivia question for you. Which one of us has not changed very much over the last 35 years? I think I look exactly like I did 35 years ago.
Which one of us is a poster boy for birth control?
I want to thank you both for coming in. This has been a hoot.
It has been great.
And I want to thank KSL for being the greatest employer of all time. They've been great to us, haven't they?
Yeah,
they really have.
And a good place to work. Yeah. And all of you for watching, especially those of you who watched all this time.
And suffered through this.
Have a good night.
Dick Nourse, Bob Welti, and Paul James. Outstanding in their field. Nourse, Welti, and James. Outstanding in somebody's field.